Memoirs are stories of things that happened to you, perhaps, or something you saw, and you remember it maybe years ago. And maybe it happened on the Thursday, but you say in your memoir it happened on Tuesday. That sort of thing is okay. That's not lying. It's the way you remember it. So however, my memoir is perfect fact all the way through. I remember every moment of it. Isn't that right, Shirley? I forgot to put my glasses on. Forgot how to put my pocket. Okay. Ma, I'm going to the market and spend some of my money. I had some money left from my 9th birthday last week. Granddad Louie sent me $5. I also got some Levi's, t-shirts, socks, and best of all, a Red Ryder BB gun. The market is at the end of our street, so I have to cross. I didn't have to cross any streets. Mom didn't want me to cross streets, but I did it all the time. She just didn't know it. A vacant lot with a huge billboard sat right next to the market. My friends Tip, Claude, and Jerry and I have been planning to build a fort behind the sign for weeks. The billboard showed a picture of a 2-tone brown car with Mom, Dad, 2 kids, and a Cocker Spaniel. The dog had his head sticking out of the window. He had a big smile on his face, and his tongue and ears flapped in the wind. The sign said, "Pontiac, fine car." While I was walking up to the site of our future project, the thought of our building the great fort excited me. The big plan was to dig a shallow pit, cover it with poles to make the framework to hold up pieces of cardboard forming a roof. Then we would cover it all with grass for camouflage. It was morning time, and I wanted to see if the grassy ground behind the sign was ready for Claude, Tip, and Jerry, and I to start our project. I walked onto the vacant lot and could feel the ground was probably soft enough to dig. The green grass smelled good enough to roll around in. I pulled up some clumps of the grass with clods of damp dirt on the ends. They were perfect weapons. I tested them by throwing them up in the air. As they arced and started down, they became 500-pound bombs, destroying the enemy's battleships and factories. By now I was behind the signboard in dark shadow light. I could see a man sitting on a sheet of cardboard with his back against the low back side of the Pontiac sign. His head bowed down like someone praying in church. With his left arm down at his side, his fingers barely touched a whiskey bottle. I could see his right arm hanging down with his hand on his lap. In his hand, I could definitely see a gun. I said to myself, "Oh, shush." I never say that, but Mom used to. I didn't like to hear her cussing, but mostly because it meant she was mad. I said shit because I was scared, and it sure came out easy. I could only think about getting out of there before he saw me and decided to take a shot. I backed up and turned around at the same time. I wanted to run, but my legs would barely move. I headed home, and on the way, Claude's mom came out. She must have seen me because she asked me what was wrong. By the time I got the story out, Mom had come out to the front lawn, and I felt her in. Mom called the operator, who connected her with the police. They told her to meet us at the corner in front of the sign. The police got to the corner at about the same time we did. I was still a little scared, but I could move around okay. By now, half the neighborhood arrived, including Claude, Tip, and Jerry. I told the policeman what I was doing and how I found the guy behind the sign. I told him about building a fort. He said he used to build forts when he was a kid, and that made me feel better about poking around behind the signboard. Then there was a cop in slacks, shirt and tie. Said he was a detective and was there because the man on the cardboard had shot himself in the head. After the dead guy was taken away, the police took a few more pictures and told us we could go home. Us guys decided to leave, and I told them how I came to the lot to check out the fort area and how I found the dead guy. I also told them I was a little scared. Tip wanted to go behind the signboard and look around. He had to talk Claude, Jerry, and me into going there. We snooped around, but I was half scared to death, and I think the guys were too. We didn't go near where the man had been sitting, mainly because the cardboard had a big bloody spot on it. While we talked about how to build the fort, Tip said we should use the cardboard as some kind of secret banner. Yeah, Jerry said, and we can call our fort the Bloody Hole. I'd had enough excitement for one morning and suggested we go to the corner drugstore for a popsicle or something. We spent the rest of the day arguing about how to build the fort. Changing the location was never discussed. Heck, we already had a battlefield with at least one casualty we knew. Every word is the truth.